Patrick Baldwin Jr. is a 6'9" freshman wing out of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. A former 5-star prospect and one of the most highly regarded in his class for years on end, PBJ chose to play for his dad at Milwaukee over some of the powerhouses, most notably Duke. You throw some injuries into what was an overall underwhelming performance from everyone involved, and the one's top 5 projected pick takes a fall, but I still think there's a lot to like with him as a prospect. PBJ's biggest selling point isn't necessarily something that's going to show up in the stat sheet or be backed up by gaudy numbers from this year. In fact, some of them would sway you in the opposite direction, but his shooting and also scoring potential is still there. At 6'9" with a 6'11" wingspan, he's got the ability to rise and fire over most defenders. It of course gives him an obvious advantage as a prospect over, say, a 6'5" guy who had a similar game or performance this year. I buy his overall mechanics, from the fluid high release to the balance and footwork shown on some attempts off movement, and I know he'll benefit from being in a situation where he's bound to get significantly more open looks.
Into Baldwin, turnaround shot 15.
Can't turn to his right, so he has to pass back to Baldwin, and he can shoot it, and he does! Bring it back out this time. And Baldwin, there he is. Over to Baldwin from deep, it's good.
Against Robert Morris, not the most talented team, and they did run some zone, PBJ was spectacular and had it going to the point that he hit the patented Steph turnaround before the shot even went in. That game was by far his most impressive of his freshman season, and a little peek into what I think we could see more from him at the next level as a shooter. We'll get into the overall self-creation a little more later, but he can handle it. He's very agile for his size and showed flashes of hitting some next level step backs, fadeaways, and some high level finishes, 2 of which came in the Florida game.
Baldwin deep on the right. Patrick, a couple of jab steps between the legs, looks to attack, step back 3, got it!
All these guys that are here now, even the only returner that is not a freshman.
Yeah, you can tell it starts with him. He's done a really nice job this last month.
Junior thought about a 3 himself, but stops and hands to Baldwin. Free throw line.
For Rob, tightly guarded out near the logo. St. Pierre gives him a high screen, between the legs dribble for PBJ at the elbow. He'll pop from there and they'll sink the shot.
Pat Baldwin off the baseline. Good looking shot. Q.
Watched by Tarushi. Baldwin, the quick first step.
For those guys.
Appleby snaking, had it taken away by Baldwin. Behind the back.
Despite what was a pretty strange situation for a prospect of his caliber, PBJ actually did have some terrific moments as a passer and playmaker. Not saying that he's going to be this point forward in any way, but this is probably the most underrated part of his game that'll probably shine more in the future. Now again, he had his fair share of issues that we'll get into, but the ability to grab it and go at 6'9", be a good ball mover, make a few flashy dimes both in transition and in the post, and then these wildly impressive skips right on target that only guys his size can hit at these angles, had me confident in him fitting in an NBA situation and this possibly being a real asset to his game.
But you don't want that to take away from just staying disciplined and doing everything that it takes to help your team win.
Homecoming, the Hall of Fame, all kinds of good things here on campus. Baldwin drives, no look to Kane in the 7-footer.
Baldwin has it on the right wing. He's driving on it, fits to it. He'll stop, he'll lean, kick it out to Newby. Open look, straight away, triple in the air, switch.
Back winning.
Meanwhile, freshman Elijah Kennedy is checked in.
To the rim, that time Milwaukee was ready for it.
Baldwin along the baseline. Kicks to the corner.
4:45 of the clock rolls here in the first half. Baldwin's got it, jump pass to the corner. Sinani for 3, ring it up.
Now let's get into some areas he can improve. His ability to handle the ball at that size should be commended. there aren't a ton of 19-year-olds who are as capable of getting to certain spots as him, but the lack of a great first step, burst, or ability to consistently drive all the way to the bucket was evident. Now, part of that had to do with the defense being keyed in on him, as you can clearly see with the help and number of eyes on him in these clips, but there are also times when he did struggle to turn that corner, and when he did get in close, he didn't show the ability to explode or elevate smoothly in traffic that's necessary to be really effective there.
Baldwin sees the clock down to 5. He drives and
points. St. Pierre on the block to Baldwin, and he's fouled. Right, so he came to help. Yeah. And now
Baldwin with 8. Backs in on the smaller Appleby.
He has here for the Colonels. Lob in, Baldwin the catch, turns, drives, scores.
According to Synergy, he shot just 7 unguarded catch and shoot shots all season. Now, he was 1 for 7 on those, but when 36 out of a total 43 shots are guarded, it can be really difficult to establish a rhythm, though some of those guarded numbers were a result of his own shot selection. But talking more self-creation, there were just too many moments where he would pull up from 30 with someone in his face, take a really tough turnaround, stop the ball and jab when he could have got it off quicker, and the air balls were definitely noticeable when I rewatched all of these games. Many of these issues will be solved naturally, but he's still going to need to improve some of the shot prep, expand his overall offensive game, focus on improving as much as an athlete as possible, both at the rim and creating advantages with the ball, and of course, being as effective a shooter as possible, especially off the catch where he'll likely be seeing most of his usage. Defensively, I think there's a lot of work to do heading into the level jump that will be the NBA, but there have also been some bright spots. On the ball, he's not the quickest, his closeouts often left more to be desired, frequently giving the offensive player a clear top foot to attack and giving up an advantage. And off the ball, there were far too many moments where he was lost, especially when his matchup would cut through or there was some kind of action going on and he was forced to stop on a help line or keep his head on a swivel to watch both man and ball. This led to some avoidable back cuts and some missed box offs as well.
by 10. Trying to go in on Baldwin. Got one assist in
the first half. They've got 3 already in the second half. He is going to work with the jump hook.
He's the most skilled player in there. He can make a jump shot. He's a great passer, can find people on the perimeter. So I'd look for Pat Baldwin to spend a lot of time today.
Bartholomew is yet to score in the second half. Walker steps outside.
Pass, that was Jordan Lathan with the first 2 tonight. Skip pass, Gafford to Pipkins.
Positively, he did have some moments making a few big time blocks as a help side defender, some moments of containment guarding the perimeter and in the pick and roll, and also using his length inside to bother players. The combination of situation and level of competition has made his defensive projections somewhat, but I found it interesting that his synergy numbers of shots defended ended up being some of the best in the country. Obviously, those don't account for a lot of the stuff that we've shown on film, but it's at least encouraging.
Lob into the lane, Blanton on Golston, goes up, block.
That set when they went 12 of 17 from 3-point range. That's a program record 70% from 3. And for this season, they're
42. Blanton now goes up.
Necessary foul from
from Beverly, baseline dart, layup, no!
May not go. Here's Winston, a jumper from
the ceiling for PBJ is still relatively high, and it's part of the reason he's still widely regarded as a first round pick, even with the way the season went. And projection wise, I think he'll end up somewhere from the late teens to the end of the first round, with the pre-draft process being really important. The biggest swing factors are what level shooter he can become and also the improvements he can make athletically. And I think some of the best fits for PBJ are the Spurs, Mavericks, and Thunder. You put him in San Antonio where there's a need for a 4-man with the type of game and upside that he has and the organizational structure to make it happen. I like that. Dallas would be great, a big shooter, floor spacer who can make plays around Luka, and then OKC would give him the space to grow, and the attention that Shea and Giddey attract would give him a lot of opportunities, and it's also a very patient and low stakes position for him to be in.
He's playing with such confidence right now. So Porter's got 28 and 13.
The Sharks Wednesday night. Coverage begins at 7:30. Porter
61. Lead balloons to 15. Porter.
Back and forth we go. Remember,
And now Porter's going to pull the trigger. Porter up and under.
Hesitation. Kuzma, little flop.
weight advantage. Kuzma on the finger roll. Has that one stolen away. Kuzma looking to add to it.
That's what he's searching for, straight contact. He wants the action.
For Patrick Baldwin Jr., he's definitely a work in progress who probably isn't quite the guy that many of us thought he was coming in, but if I'm a team somewhere in the late teens to the end of the first round, I'd love to take a chance on a player as naturally talented as PBJ and put him in a much more advantageous NBA situation. A big wing shooter with guard skills who's been a contributor in some high-level situations in the past. It's fairly simple in the end.
O'Shea gon' be the first, so I'll forever be the second. Who rep Lamar Park is something you ain't got a question. They like, damn, grown up, better than we expect.
You can sit up on my show.